So how a car engine works is, first, the fuel will travel through the fuel lines from the gas tank to the engine block, and then it'll travel through the fuel lines to the fuel injector. So first, the piston descends, and that pulls air in from the intake port, and then at that moment, the fuel injector will squirt gas into the piston chamber. From there, all the valves are closed and everything is closed. It's just the air and the fuel inside the piston chamber, and the piston compresses them. This will make it have the engine have more power, and it'll make the engine more efficient overall. Then it'll descend again, and the spark plug will ignite the gas and air. After that, it'll come back up, the piston will come back up, and that will push the gas out of the exhaust, and that will keep on repeating at very, very fast speeds. So when you put many pistons together, they're all connected to one long rod called the crankshaft. That crankshaft spins and carries the engine's power to the transmission, and the transmission will carry the power to the wheels. If the engine at idle usually runs under 3,000 RPM, and at 3,000 RPM, the crankshaft turns 50 rotations a second, and that is very quickly. They make the crankshafts very strong because of it. The car engine is not the most efficient thing, as in one 20-gallon gas tank, your engine will take in 20,000 cubic feet of oxygen, and that's a lot of oxygen that it needs to take in per gas, and that makes it not very efficient. Also, when the metal parts hit each other, that creates friction, that creates heat. So motor oil is used to lubricate everything, and you need to change motor oil frequently. And also, the other way the engine gets cooled is through the radiator and coolant, and that there's a channel that the coolant will go through the engine. It'll come out through the radiator. The air that goes through the radiator cools the coolant, and then it repeats and goes in the engine again. So the distributor tells the spark plug when it needs to ignite and sends electricity to the spark plug so it will ignite, and that will ignite the gas and the air. From there, so when the gases exhaust, they go through one giant pipe that exhausts at the back of the car, and that's also a place where thermal energy is released. So how the car engine is a heat pump is because it uses heat to create, it uses heat to do something. It uses the energy created by the combustion, the thermal energy, to turn the crankshaft, and the crankshaft turns the flywheel turns the clutch turns the transmission, the gears in the transmission turn the drive shaft, shaft turns the wheels. So in the end, the ignition right here in the piston chamber that pushes the piston down, every single ignition, it pushes the piston down, and that creates and that energy turns the crankshaft and runs the engine and makes the car move.